Assalamu Alaikum WRB. Welcome to the Learning Quran. So we are resuming the translation of Surah AlBaqarah, third ayah from here. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of Allah, the most beneficent and the most merciful. When the Islam or an external regression of the elegance is not accompanied by the Iman or internal faith, the Holy Quran terms it as a nifaq, hypocrisy, and condemns it as a greater crime than an open rejection of Islam. Innal munafiqina fi darkil asfali minan nar. Surely the hypocrites will be in the lowest depths of hell. In the explanation of this verse, let us add that so far as the physical world goes, we can only be sure to external state of a man and cannot know his internal state with any degree of the certainty. So in the case of the man who really declared themselves to be Muslims without having the faith in their heart, the Sharia requires us to deal with them as we would deal with a Muslim in worldly affairs. But in other words, their fate would be worse than that the ordinary disbelievers. Similarly, if the Iman or the acknowledgement in the heart is not accompanied by the external affirmation and the elegance, the Holy Quran regards this too as kufr, or the rejection or the denial of the truth. Speaking of the infidels, it says, they know him, that is the Holy Prophet ﷺ, as they know their own sons. Or in another place, their soul knew them, the signs sent by Allah, to be true, yet they denied them in their weakness and their pride. 27:14. My respected teacher, Allama Sayyid Muhammad Anwar Shah, used to explain it thus: the expanse which Iman and Islam have to cover in the spiritual journey is the same, and the difference lies only in the beginning and the end. That is to say, Iman starts from the heart and attains perfection in external deeds, while Islam starts from the external deeds and can be regarded as a perfect when it reaches the heart. To sum up, the Iman is not valid if acknowledgement is the heart. So, heart does not attain the external affirmation and the elegance. Similarly, Islam is not valid if the external affirmation and the elegance does not attain to the confirmation by the heart. Imam Ghazali Rahmatullah and the Imam Subki Rahmatullah alayhi both have arrived at the same conclusion, and in the Musamara, Imam Ibn al-Humam Rahmatullah reports that the agreement of all the authentic scholars in this respect. Number 2, who believe in what has been revealed to you and in what has been revealed before you, and do have faith in the hereafter. Today one finds a very widespread confusion, sometimes amounting to a total incomprehension with regards to the distinction between the Islam and the Iman. Essentially, under the influence of the Western modes of thoughts and the behaviors, and to be more specific, that of the ever proliferating Protestant sects and the schools of the theology. Since the middle of the 19th century, there have been spotted that in the almost every Muslim country, a host of the self-styled reformist, revivalist, modernist, et.al., each pretending to have understood the real Islam for the first time, and each adopting the extremist, though untenable, posture with regard to Islam and the Iman. On the one hand, we have the people claiming that Islam is only the matter of the heart, a word which has during the last 400 years has been used in the West as an equivalent of the emotion, or the words still of the emotion agitation, or of the religious experience, a very modest term brought into the currency by the William James. As a corollary, they stubbornly refuse to see the need for a fixed ritual and an ethical code, all of which they gladly leave to the social exigency or the individual preferences. They base their claims on the unquestioned axioms that religion is personal relationship between the individual and his God. It is all too obvious that this genre the modernist Islam is the progeny of the maternal leather with the close pollination from the roseo On the other hand, we have friend and sometimes the violent companions of the Islam insisting on a merely external performance of the rituals, more often on the mere conformity to moral regulations, and even these of their liking they would readily exclude and anyhow indifferent to the internal dimensions of Islam. A recent modification of this sentence stands in the wake of the certain patterns tends the pioneering. It goes without saying he has been to replace the divinely or ordained ritual by acts of the social services or the welfare, giving them to the status the value act of the worship. Counseling on the divorce, abortions, premarital sex, and the rest of the baggage having already become a regular part of the function of the Protestants clergymen, it would not be too fond to expect even on the part of our modernist the speedy inclusion of acts of the entertainment as well. There is still another variety of the deviations more visible and the more vociferous than the rest, and perhaps more pervasive and pernicious in their influence, finding easy credence among a certain section of the Muslim with a sloppy Western style education, while the dispensing with the subtle distinctions between Islam and the Iman. They reduce the Islam itself to mere the system, to the social organization, or even to the statecraft, according to their way of looking at things. If the Muslim fails to set up a social or the political organization of a specified shape, they would cease to be Muslims. Applied to the history of the Islam, the fanciful notion would lead to the grotesque conclusion that no Muslim had ever existed. There are only a few examples of the intellectual distortions produced by the refusing to define Islam and the Iman clearly and ignoring the distinction between the two. Contrarily to all the such modernization deviation, Islam is in fact meaning to establish a particular relationship of obedience and a servitude with Allah. This relationship arises neither out of the wage religious experiences nor out of the social regimentation. In order to attain it, one has to accept all the doctrines and to act upon all the commandments specified in the Holy Quran. The Hadith and the Sharia, these doctrines and the commandments cover all the spheres of the human life, individual, the collective, right up of the act worship down to the social, political, economic relations among men, and the codes of the ethics and the behaviors, morals, and the manners, and their essential purpose to produce in a man genuine attitude to obedience to Allah. If the one acts according to the Sharia, one no doubt gains the many worldly benefits, individual as well as the collective. These benefits may be described as a reason deter the commandments, but are in no way their essential object, nor should a servant of Allah seek them for themselves in obeying Him, nor does to success or the failure of a Muslim as a Muslim depend on attaining them. When a man has fully submitted himself to the commandments of Allah in everything he does, he has already succeeded as a Muslim, whether it receives the relatively world benefits or not. So here is a very important. Okay, next ayah. Wallazina, and those who yu'minuna believe bima, in what unzila is sent down ilayka to you, wama, and what unzila is sent down min from qablika before you, wabil akhirah, and in their hereafter, whom yuqinun, they firmly believe, and who believe in what has been revealed to you and what has been revealed before you, and have faith in thereafter. So these are all the attributes we are discussing about, the attributes, the characteristics of the muttaqeen. Muttaqeen are the God-fearing people, right? So this is one of the attributes of the God-fearing people. This verse speaks of the some other attributes of the God-fearing, giving the certain details about the faith in the unseen, with the special mention of the faith in hereafter. So there is a special mention of faith in the hereafter. Commenting on this verse, the blessed companion Abdullah ibn Masud and Abdullah ibn Abbas have said that that in the days of the Holy Prophet ﷺ, God-fearing Muslims were of the two kinds: those who used to be associators and disbelievers but accepted Islam, and those who used to be among the people of the book, that is the Jews and the Christians, but embraced Islam later on. The preceding words refers to the first group, and this verse to the second. Here, this verse specifically mentioned the belief in the earlier divine books along with the belief in the Holy Quran of the recording. According to the Hadith, people in the second group deserve a double recompense. Firstly, for believing in and following the earlier books before the Holy Quran came to replace them, and secondly, for believing in and following the Holy Quran when it came as the final book of Allah. Even today, it is obligatory for every Muslim to believe in the earlier divine books, except that now the belief has to take this from everything that has revealed in the earlier books in the true, accepting the changes and the distortions introduced by the selfish people, and that it was incumbent upon the people for whom those books had been sent to act according to them. But know that all the earlier books and the Sharias have been abrogated, and one must act according to the Holy Quran alone, because now the final book is the Holy Quran. This is the last book, and the Holy Prophet Muhammad ﷺ is the last prophet of Allah, and no prophet will become after the Hazrat Muhammad ﷺ, and we are the last Ummah. So we need to act upon, we need to believe the Holy Quran, because this is the last book, and we need to follow the Holy Quran only. Right? But we believe and we should accept that Allah Rabbil sent the books to the before the prophets, and we believe that's the part of our iman, right? Because we already read that they believe the unseen. So unseen also included the things, for example, it's a fate, it's a belief, and it's the books and the prophets. So these are all the iman, are parts of the iman. Exactly as predicted by the Hadith, today we see all around us proliferations of the knowledge and of writing, one of the dangerous forms. The process has taken in the indiscriminate translation, at least into the European language, and the popularization and the sacred books of the all possible religious and metaphysical traditions, not only the Hindu, the Chinese, or the Japanese, but also the shamanic or the Red Indian. The lust of the reading sacred book has virtually grown into a mania, especially among the modern young people with their deep sense of the being uprooted and the disinherited. And all the consideration of the aptitude have been contemporaneously set aside. In these circumstances, Muslims with a Western orientation are naturally impelled to ask themselves as to what they can or should make of such a books, which sometimes seems to offer similarities and a parallel to the Holy Quran itself, and the more often to the Sufi doctrines. The problem has already attained a noticeable proportion, for in the 1974, the government of the Turkey found it necessary to ban the entry of the certain Hindu sacred book like the Baqarah, I don't know what is the book name, and the Upanishads. The correct doctrinal position in the respect is the obligatory for every Muslim as an essential part of the Islamic creed to believe in all prophets and the messengers of Allah in the divine books, not of their distorted form, but as well we were originally revealed. So we believe all these books. So actually it's not necessary for us to read all religious books, because we need to read the Holy Quran only, because this is our religion, and this is the last book of the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So this is very important thing that have specifically been mentioned by the names in the Holy Quran, and also to believe that Allah has sent his messenger and his books of the guidance of all the people and all the ages, and that Muhammad ﷺ is the last prophet, and the Holy Quran is the final book of Allah, which has come down to replace the earlier books and the Sharias. As to the question of the authenticity and the divine origin of a particular book held in the remains by an earlier religion and the metaphysical tradition, a Muslim is not allowed to affirm such a claim unequivocally, or nor should he unnecessarily reject all such possibilities. In so far as the content of the book of the concerned agree with what the Holy Quran has to say on the subject, we may accept a statement as a true, otherwise a spiritual etiquette requires as an average Muslim to keep quiet and not the meddle with the things which is not likely to understand. As for the reading the sacred books of the other traditions, so we already discussed that it's not necessary to read such kind of the books, traditional books. We should need only the Holy Quran, not the other religious books. It should be clearly borne in the mind that the comparative study of the nature requires a very special aptitude with extremely rare and hence demands great cautions. A cursory reading of the sacred book motivated by the idle curiosity or by a craze of mere information may very well lead to an intellectually disintegration or to something still worse instead of helping in the discovery of the truth. The acquisition of the peace which a comparatively study is widely supposed to promise, even when the aptitude and the knowledge necessary for the task is present. Such a study can be carried out only under the supervision of the authentic spiritual master. In any case, we cannot insist too much on the perils of the enterprise. So this is very important thing that if you the mode of the expressions, an argument to the finality of the Prophet, or the mode of the expressions help us to infer from this verse that the fundamental principle of the Holy Prophet Muhammad ﷺ is the last of all prophets, and the books revealed to him is the final revelation and the last book of Allah. For had Allah intended to reveal another book or to continue the mode of the revelation of even after the Holy Quran, this verse, while the prescribing belief in the earlier books as necessary for the Muslims, must also have the refer to believe in the book or books to be revealed in the future. In fact, such a statement was all the more needed for the people who are already familiar with the necessity of believing in the Torah. That's also the book of the previous books. The Evangel and the earlier books and such belief was in the regular practice too. But if the prophethood and the revelation were to be continued even after the Holy Prophet ﷺ, it was essential that the coming of another prophet and another book should be clearly indicated, so that the people were not left in the doubt about this possibility. So before the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, that was the last book, which was the last book, and in there it's mentioned that there will be the last prophet of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So this is the last book of the Holy Quran is the last book, and Holy Prophet is the last prophet of Allah. So there is no, if Allah Rabbul Izzat need to tell us that there should be continued, there should be another book, so he told us in this book as well. But there is no doubt that it's clearly indicated that there is no doubt left, there is no any book will become after this. So defining the Iman, the Holy Quran mentions the earlier prophets and earlier books. He does not make the slightest reference to a prophet or book to come after the last prophet. The matter does not end with the words. The Holy Quran touches upon the subject again and again, and no less than the 40 or the 50 verses, and in all the such places mentioned that the prophets, the books and the revelation preceding the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but nowhere is there even so much as a hint with regard to coming of a prophet or of a revelation in the future, belief in whom or which should be necessary. When we cite some verses that demonstrate to the point, وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَا مِنْ قَبْلِكَ, and we have sent down before you, وَلَقَدْ أَرْسَلْنَا رُسُولًا مِنْ قَبْلِكَ, and we have certainly sent messenger before you. وَلَقَدْ أَرْسَلْنَا مِنْ قَبْلِكَ رُسُولًا, and certainly before you we have sent the messengers. And وَمَا أُنزِلَ مِنْ قَبْلِكَ, and what was revealed before you. وَلَقَدْ أُوحِيَ إِلَيْكَ وَإِلَى الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِكَ, and it has certainly been revealed to you and those who have gone before you. كَذَلِكَ يُوحِي إِلَيْكَ وَإِلَى الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِكَ, thus he reveals to you and he revealed to those who have gone before you. كَمَا كُتِبَ عَلَى الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِكُمْ, fasting is a decree literally written for you, and it was decreed for those before you. سُنَّةَ مَنْ قَدْ أَرْسَلْنَا قَبْلَكَ مِنْ رُسُولِنَا, such was our way with the messengers whom we sent before you. These are the ayats of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. These are the ayats of the revealed to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and these are in the Holy Quran. It's clearly said that Allah Rabbul sent the books and the prophets before the Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. In these and the similar verses, whenever the Holy Quran speaks of the sending down of a book, of the revelation of the prophet or a messenger, it always attaches the conditional phrase min qablika, before, or min qablika, before you, and nowhere does it employ or suggest an expression like min ba'di, after you. Even if the other words of the Holy Quran had not been explicit about the finality of the prophethood of the Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and about the cessation of the revelation, the mode of the expression adopted by the Holy Quran in the present verse, it itself have been sufficient to prove these points. So that's it for today. Inshallah, we will meet in the next video. Till then, take care. Allah Hafiz.